My friendy, hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is CaitlinAnwyn for anyone who's new here, and let's get back into Planet Zoo. And we're continuing in the underwater zoo, and we are finishing off my ambitious otter habitat. So now I needed to finish this off by completing the underwater pathing system, and this underwater river part was really tricky to do, but I did want it winding through the majority, and I didn't want this one to be like straight like the other two. I'm trying to make each habitat different so it's not super repetitive. Obviously we're always going to need a glass dome over the guests so they can breathe, I guess. As you can see, they will just walk under the water. We don't want to watch them drown, really, do we? And it kind of looks like they're drowning. So I picked this like very modern glass one. I thought this had the least amount of pattern on it so it wouldn't look so odd once I've like overlapped them to curve around the pathing. And the grids are super frustrating, so like I end up placing some things on the grid and then just giving up and trying to individually place stuff. So this isn't even grouped together like most of the other tunnels are. I had to keep this one all separate so I wouldn't have to snap to the grid all the time because it just didn't look right. And obviously I don't want any gaps or anything because then you're kind of losing the suspension of belief. Is that what it is? Where you can kind of see that like obviously water would fill in some parts and just all your guests would drown. So I want this to be sort of believable and sort of not. I made the habitat above, which I will put in the iCards. We're going to stick to majority of this being below the water, so you won't really see the tropical rainforest that I built last week, but it's there. So like the guests won't be able to see that either, but we do want them to be able to see some kind of tropical plants and stuff. I will be moving the water effect so they don't drip through the the tunnel, but I thought I'd add in some of those mossy rocks in the middle of the waterfall so I could kind of pretend that that's why there was a gap there, because there was a gap where the water effect was, because I needed to remove the water effect for the tunnel. I just put a rock there to kind of hide that gap, and it works and it makes it look a little bit more interesting anyway. There you can see I haven't made anything easy for myself, having this river winding around this habitat and then having to wind the path through the river and then wind the dome over the path through the whole thing. It's really tricky, but it works in the end and I'm really happy with it. I don't think I've done the same width path that I did for the seals, but it's definitely wider than the penguins. But now we've got 3 different exhibits in, or habitats in. I think we'll be fine anyway, because not all of the guests are going into the same habitat now. They've got a choice of 3 different ones. Oh, I can't believe we've only got 1 more habitat animal to do and 1 more exhibit animal to do. I'm so excited to have this like whole zoo finished. But yeah, I haven't really finished off any of the guest buildings and like the stairways and stuff. I've showed you how I do that in the shop shell build. Wow, that was kind of hard to say. So I just need to like kind of copy and paste those, put some shops down for this one as well, and just trying to make sure the guests just don't walk forever to each habitat. So I might add in a transport ride as well as the last 2 animals to add in, just because the guests kind of need an easy way out, really. So once they've seen all of the different habitats and exhibits, I might put a transport ride right at the end of everything, just to allow them to get the transport ride back out of the zoo. I think that might be a good idea, especially because then we don't have to really worry about them kind of seeing the outside world, as that's been sort of my thing in this one, is that I don't want them to see anything that's not under the water. But once they've seen everything under the water, they can take a transport ride, see everything from like above ground, and get home quicker. So they're not all clogging up all of those tunnels. So I was thinking that might be a better way to do it. I don't think I'll put you through placing every single rock down, but I got I'm not gonna lie, I got bored placing these, so I switch it around quite a bit as I go through the different tunnels, because there's like 3 different tunnels, separate tunnels. So this one I use lots of different rocks. I've used the same rock, so it's just a little bit of different. So like you guys can see that they're going through the river in a different way, but I wanted this to be very green and just block off all of that mud yuck. And the rocks hide a lot of the imperfections of the domes as well, and kind of hide some of the janky overlapped parts. I don't normally leave my hair naturally curly for videos. I feel kind of odd. Just checking over to my second monitor to check OBS, and I just feel odd that I've got my natural hair. Normally I really can't be asked to deal with it, and I'd rather just leave it in braids and have that like wavy texture, or I'll curl it myself, because this is just a little bit out of control. My hair doesn't like curl in the same way around my like entire head. I don't know whether anyone else has got naturally curly hair, but like the front parts always curl a lot more than like the crown of my head does. So like right at the back it's barely curly, but like these front pieces are just, yeah. I've barely done any videos. I think I might have done like 2 or 3 in almost 2 years with my hair naturally curly, and I'm feeling a little self-conscious. I don't know. I just feel like my hair is just super frizzy. I'm actually recording this on Valentine's Day. You know, with the national lockdown and being single, there's not really much else I can do other than play games. I like to give myself enough time to really focus on the editing too, to make it a little bit more fun. And I gotta be honest, I don't want to have to do my hair and makeup again. I would record so many more videos if I didn't have a face cam, I swear. I know a lot of people don't even do face cams for like speed builds and stuff, but I kind of like the continuity of it all. I started with a face cam, so I'm gonna end with a face cam. Does it really bother you as a like viewer? Because I know I watch people build in Planet Zoo, like Best in Slots, who doesn't have any face cam on or anything, and I know some of the other simmers will do speed builds without face cams. Does it bother you? Would you be more likely to click on a video if you could see their like face and like you knew it was a face cam involved, or does it not really bother you and it's all about like the build itself? I do find myself like looking for the camera sometimes, especially with people that I watch that usually have face cams. If they don't, then I will look for it and then be like, oh, where are they? But then other times I don't really mind it. I don't know. I like seeing people, I like hanging out with people, but I know there's a lot of people out there who just want to listen to music with a build. That's not really my style. I know there's a lot of like silent builds with just some calming music. I'm sure that'll really chill people out before bed, but I love just listening to people chat. That's why I make this style of video, really. I make things that I would like to see. That's kind of why I like watching Best in Slot, because he chats through all of his videos as well. Do you prefer people having their face on show in videos? Do you prefer people just chatting away and don't really mind whether they've got a camera or not? Like a face cam or not? Or do you like the silent videos? And have you muted me now? You probably wouldn't even hear what I was saying. So now that I've placed all of the rocks down and blended in all of the terrain into the glass domes, I wanted to add some plant life and greenery underneath the water as well as above the water. And yeah, I didn't want it to be super blank. I wanted it to be like rich with lots of different plant life. This is a tropical rainforest, so lots of different plants are going to be able to grow in this nutrient rich river. Yeah, so I wanted to add some plants poking out of the different mossy rocks around the terrain, and a few different like grasses around on the flat areas too, just to give it a little bit more detail. I'm not sure whether the guests can really see through the glass into this, but I just wanted to add some extra little details down. Obviously we can see it, so that's always the fun part, isn't it? It just makes it look a little bit more alive, I think. I've never really thought about putting plant life under the water like this. I don't think it really suited the other two habitats either. We don't really have seaweed, so I couldn't put that in the beach, and in the glacier there's not really gonna be much plant life growing in that like cold environment, so this is just the perfect little place to layer up some grasses and some little plants going on around this at different sort of heights, and so it just looks a little bit more alive and natural. I love it. So I thought it might be fun to go into this underwater viewing area as a guest too. So I've gone into first person mode, kind of like point of view. You're the guest in this underwater zoo, kind of drowning in these domes. Just so you can see kind of what they can see. I do need to add a few little details here and there, some finishing touches for this, but I think it definitely works, and you can see the waterfall area, and if there were otters swimming about you could see those too. And this one's not quite as crowded as the penguin one, but it is kind of crowded. That's why I was kind of thinking of doing a transport ride, so maybe the guests don't always have to come back through this walkway. They can like kind of take the ride back. But yeah, this is definitely my most ambitious habitat so far. I can't believe it took me like 4 hours to complete. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and I really love how the waterfall effects turned out. And this tunnel, even though there's quite a lot of overlapping and there's quite a few guests kind of crowding around at the moment, but I think it looks good overall. What do you prefer, the above or below ground? I think we definitely need a transport ride to show off the above ground now. All three of the habitats now have got some extra details above ground that the guests can't see, and that's kind of sad, isn't it? So yeah, what should we do next? Should we do the dwarf caiman, the diamondback terrapin, or the transport ride? And if you pick one of those, what kind of habitat would should the animal be in, and what kind of transport ride should I go for? Ideally, we want to show them like above ground, so maybe the gondola ride? Let me know, what would you like to see next? And I'm gonna leave it off there. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, and if you haven't already and you would like to, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!